we spent all day yesterday evaluating the Memphis game, and I'll tell you what we saw as a staff, because we ripped it apart as we do after every win and loss. Offensively, we were very explosive. We had 17 explosive plays again, so that was good. We ran the ball again well for the second week in a row. When you're on the road, turnovers are going to hurt you, so we've got to eliminate the turnovers, especially the ones that result in points for them. We had 3 turnovers, and they got the 7 points out of it on the interception. And then, you know, this is played pretty good on offense, but so it's being nitpicky, but that's what we do. You know, we had 3 takeaways and got 0 points out of it. So, you know, when we're really hard on ourselves, which we are, those are the things that we look at. And then we're always looking at technique and effort and things like that. Defensively, you know, we had to mix and match, play some different people in some different spots. They got that one right out of the gate, the 80-yard run when we were pressuring. We got reached and missed 2 tackles. And you know, after that one, we had the run under control, and we played the run as well as we've done this year. They were about less than 3.3 a carry after that play. But the unfortunate thing is you can't. There's no except fors. So defensively, it was the big plays that killed us. You know, we had 9 big plays, which is more than we've had in all the other games combined. And you know, we talked about the first one. We were pressuring, we were slanting that way, bringing Keyshawn off the edge with a new defense, and we got reached on the left end, reached at the left 3 technique, and then we missed 2 tackles, and he got out the gate. Then the second one, the screen, we were pressuring again. They came down and they picked Kenny, and he couldn't get to his coverage, and they outran us to the end zone. The third one, which was the other screen, we were in a 3-deep concept. We were in that new package where we were playing, because we were short at the linebacker position, we were playing some guys, you know, as kind of a 3-4 outside linebackers that were more defensive lineman guys, and we had a bust by a guy that was doing it for the first time in the heat of the battle, and they got that screen on us. And then the thing that disappointed me about that play was I didn't like our effort. I didn't like our effort, and you know, one of the things that we've always done well, whether we're, you know, playing well or not, is our effort's been good. So that's something that, you know, we have to do better at. And then, you know, the 2 on Darnay right before the half, we sack them, so it's 2nd and 13. Our offense has just scored. We're up 24-20. We've got them on the 23-yard line. So you have 2 timeouts. You call timeout. You're trying to get the ball back for your offense. It's very explosive. They're going to get the ball start the second half, so you don't want them to have 2 possessions in a row. We do the same thing again. You know, unfortunately, we put Darnay in at nickel in this game, and because we had to, personnel issues, and we put him in a coverage where he was playing outside leverage on a guy running a post, and the guy made a fabulous catch. Okay, they reviewed it, and then I screwed up. The next play was completely on me, 1,000%. My general rule as a coordinator has always been, I'm not a coordinator now, but it has always been, you probably don't want to pressure coming out of a timeout. That's, you know, history has taught me through some really bitter lessons over the years, you know, coaching defense, which I've done for a long time, and been lucky to be a part of some great ones, is that's not a good time to call a pressure. And Scrap didn't want to pressure. I called a pressure because I was frustrated. We came free, but the linebacker that was blitzing was late, and we left Darnay on an island. And you know, the reason that it's not a good call is twofold. Number one, coming out of a timeout, they've got time to prepare. They've got time to talk about, hey, if they're pressure, this is where we want to go. Number two, should have thought about the fact that Darnay had just gotten beat, you know, and tried to help him. He's a freshman. He's in an environment that he's never been in before. Wanted to be aggressive, and it was just a stupid call on my part. So that was bad. So, you know, like I said, the defensive big plays hurt us, and then the second half we got a little bit more under control, and then late in the fourth quarter, you know, we had a couple of penalties. The one on Osa, I've seen the copy, the coach's copy. I haven't seen. Have you guys seen the TV copy at all? So it looked like he lowers his head. Is that what it looks like? Yeah. Yeah, so
into his chest.
It was in the chest.
Yeah,
If it's in the chest,
neck area.
Yeah, right.
it's close. Yeah, and they reviewed it, and they, you know, the problem is that anytime you duck your head, you lose the benefit of the doubt, because it was a clean hit in terms of the timing, but when he ducked his head, so that cost us. And then they got a couple plays, and then we got him stopped. You know, we got the interception on the fake punt, and I don't think there was anyone on our sidelines that didn't think we were going to go win that game. With 3:01 left and the ball on the 20, we had used our timeouts to preserve time, so everything was, you know, set up for us. And you know, I just think that you know, our offense is playing so well, and Josh is playing so great, and I think that he, you know, felt so much pressure to try to win the game on his own that you know, the one that he threw down to Theo, you know, he knows that he should have tried to thrown it out of bounds. You know, then we'd had 2nd and 10 instead of 1st and 25. But like I said after the game with Josh, he's just the ultimate competitor, you know, and I've seen it before with guys, just learning when to say, okay, the play's over. You know, the play's over, we didn't get what we wanted, let's go on to the next play. And that's a hard thing to teach a guy like Josh that's so ultra competitive and has such great confidence in himself. But I don't think there's anyone that think we'd win that game, and we didn't. So we spent hours and hours and hours, like we always do yesterday, evaluating it, ripping it apart, putting it back together. We're trying to get it right. We're working through personnel issues. We're trying to make changes. We're trying to do, you know, what we think is right with our experience to get us in the right place to play better. I think, like I said, we played the run better, but the explosives just, the big plays just killed us. So, you know, we're in a tough spot right now, but we're going to fight through it. We got a tremendous group of young men. I'm talking about a tough spot on defense, tremendous group of young men. Hopefully we get Kenny Young back. Hopefully we get Jaleel back. Hopefully Boss is, you know, healthy to go. Josh Woods obviously is back. And hopefully that helps us shore up the middle of our defense and settles us down a little bit. So that's kind of it. Right now we're on to Stanford. You know, we did our team run, we did some corrections, and we just introduced some Stanford stuff. But we'll come back and really hit that in earnest at 4 o'clock. I thought this morning in the meeting the attitude was fantastic. They understand that what we have to do is learn from the things that we did well and get better at them, learn from the things that we didn't do well and improve on those, and then move on. And that's what we'll do. So that's a long-winded, right there, analysis of for anyone that wants to watch it. And I'm sure some people will probably cut it off, and some will think I'm full of it, but that's an honest assessment of what happened, as honest as I can be. So,
the guys who were on crutches, was there anything that you can tell us about them?
If they were on crutches, it doesn't look good. You know me, I don't like to divulge injuries. I'll tell you a couple though, because you're going to know them anyway. Keon Riley is going to have surgery, and he's going to be out for the season, I believe. He's a tough kid. Let me tell you what happened. 2 weeks ago, before we got on the bus, he slipped in the locker room and his shoulder dislocated. They put it back in, and he played against Hawaii, which I thought was unbelievable. I didn't think there was any way he'd play. This week, he's getting out of the cold tub, and he puts his hand down to get out of the cold tub, and his shoulder dislocated again. And so if it's going to dislocate on something like that, the best thing to do is surgically repair it. Now, we traveled him, and we were going to play him in the game, and Keon is such a dang warrior. He says, you know, coach, just play me. I'm going to have surgery anyway, so if it just blows out all the way, what's it matter? You know, but we're not going to do that to the kid. So he's going to have surgery. Nate Starks is going to be out a good bit of time, too, you know, potentially the season with the knee. It's not an ACL, it's an MCL, but, you know, he's going to be out a good bit. Jalen's going to fight his ass off, fight his tail off to get back this week. You know, you saw what happened to him, his little ankle. But, you know, he was at treatment 3 times yesterday. You know, he's already been in there twice today. You know, that's the kind of guy he is. So he's fighting to get back. Like I said, hopefully we get Kenny back. Hopefully we get Jaleel back. You know, what a great exhibit of toughness by Pick. You know, really. And I talked to the doctor after the game. He goes, you know, I can't even believe that he played through that pain. It was a knee bruise. It wasn't a structural thing. It was a bruise. And he says it was significant. Actually, I talked to Dr. DiFiore the night before the game, and he goes, Jim, it's just a pain thing. It's not a structural thing. And after the first series, Pick just said, I'm in. I'm playing. You know. So you got to commend him for that, and he'll continue to get better. It didn't set him back to play. Boss is making improvement. He played a few plays, I think he only played 3 plays, so hopefully we get Boss back, and that helps us a little bit. So.
Is Adi Amatoshu, is he?
That's it. I mean, I can talk about. I'll talk to you about. Like, I don't want people to get confused with my injury policy.
Okay.
It's no. I'll talk about it.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the cusp guys, the
Right.
guys that
Sure.
cusp. I don't want to talk about those guys, but the long-term guys,
Yeah.
I'll talk about those guys.
Okay.
Audie had an MCL with his knee. He had surgery last week. It's usually about a 3 to 4 month recovery. It's very unfortunate because he was a guy that was playing well in camp, was making progress, thought would be able to help us on offense and some on special teams. So he's out right now, but our receivers are sure playing well.
Deshaun Holiday, is he close?
He's close. Yeah, he's really he's really close. He's working his tail off to get back, and he's close to being ready. He won't be ready this week, but he's getting a lot closer. So, and he looks good running. He looks good doing things. He's with Sal more than he's with Anthony now, and so he's getting close. So, but those are the kind of the longer term guys. The guys that I'm try to shelter from anyone knowing are the guys that are short term.
I didn't see Breland Brand at the game. Was he?
Breland had a concussion, suffered a concussion against Hawaii. Tried to fight through it, which we tell these guys never to do. You can't fight through a concussion. You don't fight through head, neck, and spine injuries. You just don't. You know what I mean? And he wanted to, and he came out last week, and he tried to practice on Tuesday, and he got about 15 minutes into practice, and he got nauseous, and his head started to hurt, and so we got him out. And like all guys with head injuries, we're just not going to play with it. So, I wish he'd have told me earlier, but he's one of those guys. Like a lot of our guys, they just, his comment to me was, I didn't want to let the team down, and I love that, but not with head, neck, and spine.
Is Soso a cusp guy?
Soso is right now he's a cusp guy.
That's a hard one.
Hopefully he's leaning away from the cusp into hey, he's fine guy. Okay, because with Nate being out, we need reinforcements right there. It was good to see Brandon Stevens get some play and do well. Unfortunate on the fumble, because that was right after a takeaway with decent field position, and we give it back. But we have a lot of confidence in him. One guy I just want to commend is Darren Andrews. Josh is getting a ton of the accolades as he should because he's just playing lights out. I mean, I don't know that I've been around a guy playing as well as Josh is, and we can be critical of the turnovers, and the throws, and we are, and he's more critical than we could ever be of him. But Darren Andrews is just, and we see the numbers, the 10 catches for 175 yards, but when you watch the film, it's the blocking. It's the total package. It's the effort. He played, I think, 89 plays, and his last play looked just like his first play in terms of effort. And that's the kind of mindset that's infectious, and that's what's growing here. I was really encouraged today and yesterday by where they were emotionally going forward, so that's a good thing.
Getting guys back on defense, do you think that will allow you to be a little more conventional and do things that you like to do going forward?
Well, I like to do a lot of things. That when I was a coordinator, I did a lot of stuff. Carried huge packages of stuff because I wanted to be aggressive. It depends on what your personnel is. So, like last week, for instance, with Kenny down and Josh Woods down, we had to figure out a way to get our best 11 on the field. So as you guys we started the game, and you call it a 4-3 or a 5-2, whatever you wanted, but it was, 3 big guys and Keyshawn and Jalen on the edge with Lil Kenny and Chris Barnes in the middle. And then when Josh came back, we moved into a little bit more of the normal 4-3 stuff and some nickel and mixed it up. But, for us, if we can just keep mixing packages and become more efficient running it, it'll help us. It gives us more options to be diverse and not just, be predictable, which is always your goal. The problem is when you're mixing and matching guys, you have to judge what they can and cannot execute. And, that's the puzzle. That's the tough part. That's the tough part of coaching. So you do the best you can. I know this, our players are all in on defense. Our coaches are, and we're gonna do our part. We're gonna do our part. We're gonna do our part. Okay, we're gonna do our part. We're gonna do our part. So,
how do you feel about pass protection? Have you been satisfied with it?
Yeah, I have. Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I think that we're so hypercritical, though, Tracy. I mean, we go in there today with the players and look at the film, And, you know, I don't think Josh got touched many times, but if they got close, I mean, what happened? Why? Let's figure it out. Was it footwork? Was it hand placement? Did we not make the right call? Was our alignment wrong? You know, were we looking at the wrong thing? Did we not communicate the right way and pick it up right? So it's been good, but we want it to be perfect. You know, we want it to be perfect. And that's what we're after. But, you know, if we can keep that line healthy, and, you know, Sonny is good now. You know, he's back practicing full speed now, okay? And Pawasi's doing a good job. And Josh Waraboko's getting some time, and Jacob Burton is getting some, you know, he got some time in that first game. We're going to develop some depth there. But we need to stay healthy, you know, because the guys that are playing right now are playing pretty well.
One of the guys who's been overlooked is Flintoff.
Oh, goodness sakes,
Doing
yeah.
incredible.
Incredible. He has had, you know, he only punted once against Hawaii, and we teased him because one of our goals is to win the net punt. And we lost it by like a half a yard against Hawaii. But I think, you know, we teased him because he's been killing it. And he had 4 inside the 20. And then, you know, that was a pretty good punt returner, and he did a great job of stifling him, and he did a great job against Christian Kirk in the first game. So we've been really happy with him, really, really happy with him.
How do you feel about your quarterback pressure? How do you feel about your pass rush?
I want it to be better. Yeah, I want it to be better. I'll tell you what happens is that they came out on that first 3rd and 11, and they ran the ball, you know. And then what happens to guys is they start to go, crud, you know, can I pin it back and go? We're going to be at our best when we, you know, get a lead and we can rush the passer, you know, because we're not enormous, you know, we're big enough, but we're going to be at our best when we can do that. And, you know, we haven't really been able to do that, you know, against a team where we can predict pass. You know, when you're playing against some of these RPO teams, you know, it slows you down a little bit. But I'd like to see more production out of our edge rushers. I think that we've got good rushers, but we gotta get going. What do we have, like 8 sacks or 9 sacks? I mean, we've got decent numbers, you know, but I think on a consistent basis, being able to move the quarterback off his spot is what you want to be able to do. You know, make him look down, you know, make him flush. You know, against Hawaii, we had good pressure, but we lost the left edge about 5 times, and he was able to complete it down the sideline. So it's just a matter of, you know, being symmetrical and putting dots on him and moving him off his spot. That's what you're always trying to do with your 4-man or 5 or 6 or 7-man pressures.
Is there a sense that maybe more pressure packages are staying?
We have tons of pressure packages, and we ran a bunch. You know, see, here's the thing about pressure that people have to understand, and you know, they say that this is coach speak or hyperbole or whatever. And I'm not saying that I'm the guru or the genius, but I've been very, very fortunate to be on some really good defensive staffs, coach some of the very best defenses that have ever played in the NFL, okay, and be decent here. It's hard to play defense in this day and age in college football with these dang quarterbacks that can run. It changes everything. So you have to be systematic in your pressure. And there's run pressures and there's pass pressures, you know, and then there's kind of either or pressures. And, you know, you got to pick and choose when you use them. I like pressure, you know, but it's got to be good pressure. You can't just run pressure to pressure, you know, it's got to be good pressure. You watch some of the defenses around here in the league or in the country, and you may think they're pressuring, but really they're just playing aggressive. And I think there's a big difference between playing aggressive and pressuring. Like, I think you can rush 4, and if your mindset is up the field and attacking, that creates the image of pressure. And you know, we need to be more. We need to come off the ball better. We need to be. Our linebackers need to strike better. And what's happened is that, you know, we've had to mix and match a little bit. I don't want to make excuses. I'm just giving reasons, and therefore we just haven't been as precise as we could be. You know, you see a guy like Chris Barnes, who's going to be a really good player. This was really the second game that he's played linebacker here at UCLA. The first game, he made a lot of tackles, but they were, you know, they weren't downhill tackles. This week, he was a little bit more downhill, but not even good enough. And he's just going to keep getting better and better and better at that, you know. Kenny was really playing his second game of college football. And, you know, Kenny is a middle linebacker. He's a Mike linebacker who needs to be in the box. And when you get against some of these teams that spread it out, even with multiple tight ends, and they get him in space, you know, it creates just a little bit of hesitancy for him right now because he hasn't done it enough, you know. And so one of the great things about Kenny is he's tough, he's physical against the run, and he's instinctive. But when you lack experience and you're seeing things for the first time and it's happened real fast, those instincts don't kick in. You know what I mean? They don't kick in because you're thinking so much. So then you go, so do we eliminate things to make it easy so they can play faster, but then you simplify yourself and you become predictable. So it's just a quandary that you get in when you're having to move players around. And I'll tell you this, we are fighting our ass off to get it right. Fighting our ass off to get it right, because with an offense that's rolling like this, we all feel the responsibility to make sure that we are getting them stopped when we need to.